Emily Riedel just pulled $135 million worth of gold out of the Bering Sea, and she did it on a dive that could have killed her. There were no warnings, no second chances. One bad breath, one snapped line, one mistake, and she never would have surfaced. This wasn't a routine dive. This was a place no one was supposed to touch. Ice-cold water, violent currents, near-zero visibility. A stretch of ocean so dangerous that most crews refused to even consider it. Emily knew the risks. She went down anyway, and within seconds, the scanners lit up like nothing anyone had ever seen. Buckets filled faster than anyone thought possible. The numbers kept climbing, and when she finally surfaced, the mood on deck shifted. This wasn't just a good day. This was a career-defining moment, one that rewrote the Bering Sea record books. Stick around, because this story is still unfolding, and what comes next could be even bigger. But to understand how Emily pulled off the impossible, we have to rewind. Back to where it all began. Back to the moment when she had nothing left to lose. The radio crackles with excitement as the crew prepares for the dive. Below deck, the diver can barely contain himself. Goosebumps, adrenaline, hope. It's been a long time since anyone on this boat felt like they had a real shot. This is Nome, Alaska, a town where gold dredges sit rusted and dreams have a way of dying quietly. And right here, at the edge of financial collapse, stands Emily Riedel. She's the captain of the dredge Heroica, and she's not just fighting bankruptcy. She's staring down the possibility of becoming another forgotten name in a harbor full of failed operations. Permits are expiring. Costs are exploding. Investors have written off the entire region as mined out and dead. The pressure is crushing. Emily gathers her crew and lays out the plan. They're heading out to prospect Claim Bravo. Just a survey, just enough to see what's really down there. For most captains, this is where the story would end. They'd pack up, cut losses, and walk away. But Emily Riedel isn't most captains. She makes a decision everyone else calls insane. One last expedition, one final roll of the dice. Either they uncover something so massive it changes everything, or they disappear into history as another failed dredging operation. That's when something extraordinary falls into her hands. Hidden inside a sealed Russian maritime archive, untouched since 1852, Emily discovers a set of charts that don't belong in any normal collection. The parchment is faded, fragile, but the message is unmistakable. The charts point to immense riches buried deep beneath the Bering Sea currents. Precise coordinates are marked clearly, stamped with an imperial seal and a decree from the Tsar himself. The warning is blunt and absolute. These waters are forbidden. Most people would dismiss it as legend. Sailors' folklore. Ghost stories told when the whiskey runs low. The veteran captains in Nome laugh it off, but not without unease. They whisper about ships that sailed to that exact location and never came back. Compasses spinning wildly. Storms rising out of nowhere. Divers vanishing without a trace. Then the navigator calls out their position. They're close now. Quarter mile 6, Claim Bravo. Emily scans the water ahead, searching for the shoreline. Everyone on board knows the stories. Everyone has heard the warnings, but Emily isn't driven by fear. She's driven by desperation and by a small, stubborn hope that refuses to die. So she does the unthinkable. She assembles a crew willing to risk everything. A mix of hardened veterans and young believers. And together, they set a course straight for the forbidden coordinates. As they move farther from shore, the ocean itself seems uneasy. The waves chop with an unnatural rhythm, as if the sea knows exactly what they're chasing. For Emily, the warning wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Now, miles offshore, in waters no modern dredger has dared to touch, that promise is about to be tested. The journey is tense. The Heroica cuts through slate-gray waves beneath a heavy, overcast sky. The crew is on edge, eyes constantly scanning the horizon. Days pass. Searches come up empty. The seafloor below is nothing but mud and silence. Hope starts to fade. Whispers of turning back grow louder. Emily doesn't budge. Her eyes stay locked on the sonar screens. She trusts the centuries-old Russian charts more than the doubts around her. The sonar pulses echo into the abyss, slowly painting the unseen world below. Side-scan sonar is remarkable technology. From hundreds of feet above, it can create near-photographic images of the seabed, detecting objects as small as a shoebox. Hours drag on. Tension thickens. Then it happens. The screens flicker. An outline appears, massive, unmistakable. The room goes silent. Buried in silt and locked in centuries of permafrost lies the unmistakable shape of a ship, perfectly preserved. Divers suit up. Floodlights blaze, ready to cut through the darkness below. The crew trusts their diver. He's experienced, resilient. He's faced fear before and climbed right back into the water. Still, even pros feel the pressure. He hopes the anxiety doesn't creep in down there, hopes the darkness doesn't swallow him. What they find isn't just wreckage, it's a time capsule. A 19th century Russian bark resting quietly on the seafloor, its wooden hull preserved by the freezing, low oxygen depths. Discoveries like this are almost unheard of. An archaeological miracle, a ghost from another era. The control room hums with energy as the divers move closer. Cargo crates litter the seabed around the wreck, some broken open by time, their contents spilling into the mud. And then, in the beam of a diver's light, a glint. Gold. This isn't the fine dust or tiny flakes Nome dredges usually scrape off the bottom. This is heavy ore, dense, solid, and unmistakably rich with gold. This is proof. The legends weren't myths after all. The Russians had been here. They mined this very seabed, pulling a fortune from the ocean before sealing the operation, erasing it from the maps, and declaring the waters forbidden. Why they did that is a question for later. Right now, only one thing matters: the gold. Crew morale explodes. If the Russians recovered this much gold here, it means the source is close. The real prize. The mother lode. For the first time in months, Emily feels hope surge through her. Not a fragile spark, but something powerful and undeniable. Then the realization hits. This isn't a random deposit. This isn't nature being generous. The Russians didn't stumble onto this by accident. They found a vein. They worked it. And then, for reasons no one fully understands, they buried the truth and wiped it from history. The vein is real. And for the first time in more than 150 years, Emily Riedel is closer to it than anyone alive. But knowing the gold exists and actually reaching it are two very different things. What comes next will either make her a legend or cost her everything. The crew gathers on deck. The air crackles with anticipation, but fear hangs just as thick. Everyone knows what's being proposed: a high-risk dive into the same forbidden zone where the wreck was discovered. The conditions are brutal. Water cold enough to stop a heart. Currents strong enough to rip gear from your hands. Visibility so poor you can't see your own boots. Emily knows the numbers. Divers have died in far better conditions. Equipment has failed in warmer, calmer seas. One mistake, one snapped line, one moment of panic, and you don't come back. The crew is split. Some call it suicide. Others say the reward outweighs the risk. Emily stands at the rail, staring into the churning gray water. The decision is hers alone. She thinks about the bankruptcy notices waiting on shore, the crew counting on her, years of struggle, a dying town watching to see if she'll become just another failure. Then she thinks about the Russian charts, the perfectly preserved ship, the gold-filled crates scattered across the seabed. The vein is down there. She knows it. Emily makes the call quietly. The deck falls silent as she speaks. They're going in. Prep the dive gear. First light. The technician keeps a close eye on the readings. The numbers are borderline, mostly under 1.5. They'll try to reset. The wind pushes the vessel just enough to make everything harder. That night, the ocean feels restless. Waves grow sharper. The wind builds. Veteran crew members exchange looks that say everything out loud. Word spreads through the harbor. Other captains shake their heads. Some call it brave. Most call it reckless. A few call it what it really is: desperation. Emily checks her gear again, and again, and again. She knows that underwater, there are no do-overs, no backup plans, no mercy. The dive suit goes on in silence. Oxygen lines are triple-checked. The tether, her only lifeline to the surface, is inspected inch by inch. As dawn breaks over the Bering Sea, Emily Riedel takes a breath that might be her last above water and steps into the forbidden zone. The cold hits instantly, violent and unforgiving. Even through the insulated suit, the sea's grip is merciless. Visibility is worse than expected, maybe 3 feet. Her lights carve weak tunnels through the darkness as she descends. The current tugs at her, trying to drag her sideways into nothingness. She fights it, pulling herself down the guideline, hand over hand. The pressure builds, her ears pop. Her breathing fills the helmet, loud, mechanical, isolating. 60 feet, 80, 100. The seafloor emerges like an apparition. Silt, rocks, scattered debris from the Russian wreck. Then her scanner goes berserk. The readings spike off the charts. Numbers climb so fast the display struggles to keep up. Her heart slams against her chest. This shouldn't be possible. Not here. Not anywhere. She sweeps her light across the bottom and freezes. Gold. Not dust. Not flakes. Not scattered nuggets. A concentrated pocket of ore so rich it gleams even through the murk. The radio erupts. They found it. No, more than that. They found a lot of it. Cheers explode across the deck. This is real, undeniable. Emily's hands shake as she reaches for the collection bucket. The first scoop nearly wrenches it from her grip. It's heavy, impossibly heavy. Pure, dense ore that makes every previous sample she's ever collected look like worthless dirt. She fills one bucket, then another, then another. On the surface, the crew stares at the live feed in stunned silence. No one has ever seen anything like this. Someone finally whispers the question everyone is thinking. How much? The numbers keep climbing. 10 million. 20. 50. Emily works carefully, fighting the cold seeping into her bones. Fighting the current that wants to tear her away. Fighting the voice in her head telling her this can't be real. 100 million. The vein stretches beyond the reach of her lights, a towering wall of gold-rich ore, untouched for centuries since the Russians sealed these waters and walked away. 120 million. Her oxygen alarm chirps. Time is running out. She needs to surface, but every second down here means another bucket. Another few million added to the total. 135 million. Up on deck, the technician watches her vitals closely. "We're right on the edge," he calls out. "Readings are mostly under 1.5. We'll try to reset." Emily makes the call. She's pushed her luck as far as it will go. Any longer, and she won't have enough air to make it back. Emily signals the crew. The winch engages, straining against the current as it hauls her upward inch by inch. Emily Riedel begins her ascent from the forbidden zone. When she breaks the surface, chaos erupts. Hands grab her, voices shout over one another, and the crew swarms the deck, ripping off dive gear, laughing, yelling, swearing in disbelief. Buckets are rushed to the scales. Samples are tested. The numbers are run, then run again, because no one trusts what they're seeing. $135 million in recoverable gold. From a single dive. In waters believed to be cursed. On a claim written off as worthless. In a region investors had abandoned. Emily removes her helmet. Her face is pale from the cold, exhaustion etched into every line, but her eyes are blazing. Her hands tremble, but her voice doesn't. They're not done. That vein goes deeper. There's more down there. The deck explodes again. This isn't just a lucky day. This is history in the making. The kind of discovery that ends up in textbooks. The kind that puts Nome, Alaska, back on the map. The kind that turns a failing captain into a legend. But as the celebration surges around her, Emily's eyes drift towards the horizon. She knows what's coming. In Nome, news travels fast. And when word of a $135 million fine gets out, predators start to circle. She's right to worry, because within 24 hours, everything begins to unravel. The dangers of the Bering Sea aren't just below the surface anymore. They're above it. The moment the secret leaks. And in a town like Nome, secrets never stay buried. Everything changes. A rival dredge appears on the horizon. It keeps its distance, but never leaves. It circles slowly, watching. The crew notices. Unease settles in. Emily studies the vessel through binoculars, anger simmering. They're wasting her time. They're claim jumping. And Brad, their captain, is pretending he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. They'll try to mine anyway, because they think they can get away with it. Then the drones arrive. They skim low over the water, rotors whining as they buzz the deck. The crew scrambles to chase them off, but they keep coming back. Cameras pointed at the operation, at the GPS screens, at the coordinates. Someone is watching. Someone wants what they found. One of Emily's technicians manages to crack nearby encrypted radio traffic. What he pulls isn't dock gossip or idle talk. It's calculated, strategic, cold. She's found the chamber, secure the data, lock down the claim. In that moment, everything changes. This isn't just about gold anymore. The hunt has escalated into corporate warfare. Emily's expression hardens as she listens. The realization hits hard. She's not just fighting the sea. She's up against powerful players with deeper pockets, sharper teeth, and zero hesitation about taking what isn't theirs. The crew tightens security, guarding the site like a fortress, but the threats keep escalating. Engines roar overhead, not from another dredge. The crew looks up. A matte black helicopter circles low above them. No markings, tinted windows. Inside, silhouettes of men holding rifles. No one in Nome has ever seen anything like it. Emily grabs the radio, demanding identification. The response is nothing but static, until a calm, deliberate voice cuts through. Walk away, or you won't leave these waters. It isn't a bluff. The investors know, and they're done pretending this is a game. The sea has become a battlefield, and when fear collides with greed, loyalty starts to fracture. Morale, once sky high, begins to crack. Whispers spread. Some talk about cutting a deal, selling the coordinates before things turn violent. Others stand by Emily, refusing to bend. The tension finally snaps. Factions form. A few deckhands begin passing notes, quietly planning to sell information. Emily catches her first mate in the middle of a heated, encrypted transmission. Coordinates half spoken before the signal cuts out. She confronts him on deck. Anger flashes. Accusations fly. Her voice shakes, not with fear, but betrayal. He fires back. She's going to get them killed. Does she really think loyalty can stand up to helicopters and corporations? They need money now, before it's too late. The argument explodes into chaos, and through it all, the gold waits below. But now it's clear the treasure isn't just on the seafloor anymore. It's on the deck, in their minds, in their hearts. What once bound them together is twisting into rivalry. Emily realizes she's facing an impossible choice: push forward and risk everything, including her crew's lives, or walk away from the greatest discovery in Bering Sea history. She thinks back to the dive that nearly killed her, the crushing cold, the darkness, the moment she saw that vein disappear into the depths. More gold than anyone thought possible. She didn't survive that dive just to hand it over to vultures. Emily gathers the crew members still loyal to her and makes her decision. They're not walking away. They're not selling out. They found this. They claimed this. And they're going to fight for it. But fighting means going back. Back into the cold. Back into the dark. Back to where death waits patiently. Emily makes a choice that everyone else calls either fearless or insane. She's going back down. Because the $135 million wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The scans show the vein runs deeper, possibly twice as rich as what she's already pulled from the seabed. But reaching it means one more dive, Another gamble with death. This time, the odds are worse. A storm is building on the horizon. The currents are stronger. Rival crews hover nearby, watching, waiting for a chance to move in. One of the veteran crew members tries to stop her. They don't need to do this. They already have enough gold to change all their lives. Emily shakes her head. This isn't about enough. It's about finishing what they started. That gold has been hidden for 150 years, buried by the Russians, guarded by rumors and curses. If they don't recover it now, someone else will, and they won't have earned it. Dive preparations begin again, but the mood has shifted. Everything feels sharper, heavier. Everyone knows what's at stake. As Emily suits up, a deep rumble rolls through the dredge. The entire vessel shudders. Warning lights flash across the control panels. The crew trades nervous looks. Something below has shifted. The excavation has destabilized the seabed. The ancient chambers the Russians carved out are starting to fail under their own weight. Someone yells to abort. The whole site could collapse. Emily checks her oxygen, runs her checklist. Then they'd better move fast. Before anyone can stop her, she steps into the water. This time, there's no turning back. The descent is quicker, urgent. The ocean feels different now, alive. She can feel it vibrating through the water, a low hum beneath the current. It's the sound the old Inupiat fishermen warned them about. The sea doesn't sing to celebrate. It sings to warn. She reaches the vein and gets to work immediately. The ore comes free in heavy, gleaming chunks. Buckets fill faster than before, but the rumbling grows louder. Cracks split the chamber walls. Clouds of silt erupt, swallowing what little visibility remains. On the surface, the monitors show the chaos unfolding below. The crew is screaming at her to abort. Emily doesn't stop. She knows this is it. Once she surfaces, the site is gone forever. The collapse will seal it beyond reach. Then, 50 feet away, the chamber wall gives way. Water surges into the excavation with violent force. Equipment vanishes into the darkness. Part of the vein disappears behind a curtain of falling rock and debris. Emily's tether snaps tight, nearly ripping her off her feet. The current drags her towards the collapse. She grabs a rock outcropping and hangs on, fighting with everything she has. Her oxygen alarm is screaming now. She's past her safety margin, past the point where this should still be survivable. But in her hands is one last bucket. Gold so pure, it glows even through the chaos. She gives the signal. The winch engages at full power. Emily is yanked upward through collapsing tunnels, through clouds of debris, through water churning like a storm. Behind her, the chamber implodes. Centuries of Russian engineering vanish in seconds. The golden vein, the tunnels, the carefully hidden secret, all of it swallowed by the sea. Emily breaks the surface just as the collapse finishes below. She's hauled onto the deck, shaking, gasping, barely conscious from the cold and exhaustion. But she's alive, and in that final bucket is gold worth millions. When everything settles and the numbers are finally tallied, disbelief spreads across the deck. Including the final dive, Emily Riedel has recovered $135 million in gold from a site believed to be cursed, from waters marked forbidden, from a vein that was supposed to be nothing more than a myth. The discovery rewrites history. It puts Nome back on the map. It proves that some legends aren't just stories. They're maps to forgotten fortunes. But every discovery comes with a price. The site is gone, sealed by the collapse. Rival crews circle for weeks, but there's nothing left to steal. The chambers that took the Russians years to carve have been reclaimed by the sea. As the sun sets over the Bering Sea, Emily Riedel sits on the deck of the Heroica. She's no longer facing bankruptcy, no longer just another struggling captain in a fading town. She's a legend. Still, as she watches the waves, she can't help but wonder what else lies below. What other secrets are buried beneath the surface? What other fortunes wait in places no one dares to go? The sea keeps its secrets well, but every once in a while, It gives one up. Emily Riedel pulled $135 million in gold from a dive that nearly cost her life. The question is, did she uncover more than just treasure? Let us know what you think below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the Timefold for more untold histories hidden beneath the surface.